Hi, my name is Aaron Ho, and in this video I'm going to be going over the process of meiosis. I'm going to be going over the changes of the ovaries and uterus over a 1 month period, and I'm going to be going over the different stages of the first 2 weeks of a zygote. So let's get started. First, we're going to be going over meiosis. So meiosis is the process in which we produce gametes. In meiosis, we're going to have 2 different cell divisions, which allow us to have these haploid gametes at the end. So, beginning over here, we're going to be starting off with a 2N diploid cell, which means that there's 2 sets of chromosomes per cell. So as you see, we have this one cell with 2 sets of chromosomes. Over here, we see crossing over and cell division occurring. And we see that at the end of the first stage of meiosis, we're going to have 2 diploid daughter cells. So these diploid daughter cells are going to have 2 chromosomes each, with 2 sister chromatids over here. As you see, there's going to be 2 sets of chromosomes each, right? So this is the first division called meiosis 1. As we move on, we're going to have a second division called meiosis 2, and these diploid daughter cells are going to divide, but in this meiosis 2, these cells, they do not replicate their DNA again, which means that at the end of the division, they're going to be haploid daughter cells, which means that there's only one set of chromosome for each over here, as you see. So you go from diploid 2N to haploid N cells over here. And these haploid cells are going to be the gametes, because you can have 2 sets of chromosomes as you get 1 set from your mom and 1 set from your dad. This is why these cells are going to be haploid over here. And this goes for both males and females. In males, you're going to have 4 spermatocytes, and in females, you're going to have 1 egg and 3 polar bodies. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the different changes that will happen in the ovaries and uterus from the beginning of the month and at the end of the month. So in the beginning phase, this is called the follicular phase. So within the ovaries, FSH will be stimulating follicle development. And in each follicle, there will be 1 oocyte, which is an immature egg. And in the ovaries, the endometrium will begin to thicken, and it will begin to thicken due to potential implantation of a fertilized egg. So this is why in females, every single month, the endometrium will begin to thicken. And let's compare that with the end of the month, which is called the luteal phase. So in the luteal phase, in the ovaries, the LH will cause ovulation, and the corpus luteum will secrete progesterone in the ovaries. And this luteinizing hormone is released from the pituitary gland. And in the uterus, progesterone will make the endometrium thicken even more. And it will thicken even more for potential fertilization or the implantation of a fertilized egg. But if fertilization does not occur in this case, the endometrium will shed from the uterus, which will indicate nearing the end of the menstrual cycle or the end of menstruation. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the stages of the first 2 weeks of a zygote. So in a zygote, the first stage will be fertilization. Fertilization occurs when the sperm meets the egg within the fallopian tube of the female. And then and there, it will form a zygote, which is a small clump of cells when it starts off. The zygote will begin to travel to the uterus from the fallopian tubes. And as it travels from the uterus to the fallopian tubes, the cells from the zygote will start to divide and become bigger. Eventually, through all this cell division, a blastocyst will form. And this blastocyst, it will travel to the uterus, and once it arrives to the uterus, it's going to implant on the wall of the endometrium. And this will indicate the end of the menstrual cycle.